So Jeff, how was day two with the guys? Anything different from the way you approached the first day of spring practice?
No, we were good. We adjusted a couple things. We had a few little nagging injuries yesterday, so we had to adjust some scripting stuff in Pascal. But other than that, it was all the same.
Just getting a look at things yesterday, it seems like you guys defer a lot to the experienced guys and the guys who have been here for a while. When you talk about who's first team or who's the first one out, why is it important to kind of operate that way? Is that intentional?
Yeah, it's just a philosophy I have, even in my coaching staff. We just try to be us and be very loyal to each other in this building and try to honor the guys that have been here and done it the longest. That means you, just like with my coaching staff, it means you get first shot. It doesn't guarantee you get the only shot. And it's just a philosophy I've had, and it's a way that will sustain success because people know that we're building this thing to last, and we're not some just flash in the pan, knee-jerk reaction. Just hire the flashiest new coach or play the flashiest new recruit. Come in here and earn your keep. And guys that may not be natural leaders when they first come in the program kind of watch, the older guys and how they do it. And I've said a million times, that's where I caught a real break. When I got here, Frank and Rashad bought into me very quickly. And some of those older guys that were on the team really bought in quickly and showed us the right way. It might not have been perfect, but when you go into year 5, you've kind of just got some things ironed out. So that's the way we believe, and that's the way we practice, and that's the way we hire our coaches as well.
How quickly does that start to change? When could a transfer start getting some looks with the first team, or how do you make that decision?
When the scrimmages get here, that'll be a big day, obviously, and we watch every day. It's not even that they're not. Some of them might be more talented. They just don't know the installs like our kids do. Our kids have been here a long time. They know what to do, and they know the best guys will play. So it's not like they're doomed for second and third team forever. They also know when I recruit them, I don't promise them anything. I don't promise them a jersey number. I don't promise them a starting job. The best kids will play. And I tell them just to look at our roster, and if you think you're better than some of those guys, come on. If you don't, you better not come here.
With Jamal Ligon in particular, obviously he's been a standout here for a few years now. Was there anything about last season's performance that stood out to you or that was different from what he showed in previous years?
I thought his playmaking ability stood out more. I thought the play he made against Tulane was a real game changer to get us back in the game. And then we just kept turning it over, and our defense, needed to help us match that. But those flashes of playmaking, he's always been solid, but he's just becoming a more dynamic athlete, and his character, IQ, toughness. I don't know how many games he's started since he's been here, but it's been a bunch. And you never have to worry about Jamal Liggins. He's going to show up every day and do his absolute best. And that's a people talk about recruiting, and they have us like ranked down at the bottom of recruiting because we don't have any kids leave, so we don't sign many kids, which is the craziest stat in America. But like keeping Liggins on your roster, that doesn't count for something, or you're a starter. It's pretty good recruiting according to my book. So I'm sure I'm glad he's going to be my starting right linebacker again.
What's the next step for him? Where does he still have room to grow through all that he's already accomplished?
I think just the natural leadership, of him taking over more of that, him, Ken, B. Brown, Big Joe, some of those guys been around for a minute, Danye. That's going to be the next step. Just we really talked a lot about, good teams win 9 games, and they might be a little more coach driven or whatever, and the great teams that really win, they're player driven. So we're trying to get as many players as possible on board to lead that group.
We talked yesterday about Ken and Oscar and their leadership style. Is he kind of in the same mold, or does he lead a bit differently?
No, he's similar. He's not very verbal, but when he speaks, people listen. All 3 of them are very similar leaders, and there's different styles and ways to lead, and but they're still all 3 great leaders. I know them well enough, and they'll assert themselves, and they know that's my expectation, and like I said to y'all yesterday, when it comes to leadership, you got to want to be a leader. That's a different. You got to want to, and not everybody's wired that way. They're just not. They're just not. Whatever that is, genetically, socially, culturally, whatever that is, they're just not all wired to be that way. But those three kids you mentioned are all wired that way.
We're talking to Luke Lopez today as well. How do you look back on the way he kind of stepped into the center role last year and took that on?
Yeah, he was an answered prayer, honestly. You know, when we lost Mackay and we had to move Ernesto. Ernesto was a really good center, and we had just lost Maka. So we went from a 1 to a 3, like, and one knee injury with Mackay. And it's one of those domino effects. And, you know, Luke didn't miss a beat in there. I'm not saying he's Maka yet, but he's heading in that way. You know, he got hurt his senior year, and he didn't get to play any at all. And that put Luke way behind. Then he got in here and he got hurt again. So he basically went 2 years without playing football. So I'm really excited to see how Luke, if he can continue to stay healthy like he has, how his body keeps maturing and developing. Now he's got the reps, you know, at center. And I'm excied to see how he keeps progressing.
How does that sort of show up on the field? Is he going to be more communicative because he's kind of year 2 and he knows he's that guy now? Or
when you're at center, you're always communicative. Is that the word you said there?
I don't know what word I said, to be honest with you.
Communicative?
I tried that one, but I don't know if that's even right.
I hope that's not going to be like vehicle for me. I'm going to be on some memes all over San Antonio. Yeah, he's always been good at that. He's just not, he's a lot like Michael was. You know, he's not just a real loud, talkative guy, but he does a really good job of getting the ID identified and the mic ID'd for us up front.
So the idea that there's only 13 seasons of results here, and that's pretty small in the grand scheme compared to everybody else. The fact that you're going to replace your corners and your receivers with, at this point, with guys that are just as good or even better, what does that say in such a short amount of time that you're getting talent like that now?
Yeah, we are pretty impressive at some spots out there, I will say. Even our corners today were like, man, we got some dudes at receiver that can really run, and we do. We're really going to be able to stretch the ball horizontally as well since we've been here. Now we've had the big, tall receivers outside that we can throw it up to, but we haven't really had just the real burners. And you know, you got McEwen at, you know, he's a sub 10.500. Will McCoy's a sub 10.500. DJ Allen's a sub 10.500. Chris Carpenter's a sub 10.500. That's pretty impressive. And Amador probably wouldn't run 10.500 in track, but you can't catch him on the football field. He runs by people all the time. So, you know, we've got Big JJ out there. That's another guy we can throw it up to. You know, we've got Jace who can go up and get a ball. So we still have a little bit of that aspect in our offense. But we've got some real guys that can really run. And then Jaren Randall's been playing here, you know, forever. And we hope to get JT back, you know, at some point. That would be a real blessing and an answered prayer. And I'm sure I left out one of them. But at corner, even though we lost some really good players, we feel really good about the guys we're working. I mean, 2 guys we recruited in Davin and Dangerfield. They're young and very talented. And then, you know, we brought in, you know, Denver, and we brought in Zach. And then Zay Frazier, who we've all been waiting to come on forever, is starting to show like he's going to be that guy. Because when we got him, we beat out some really good schools to get Zay. He just has always just been something in the way. It's never really been on the field. It's always something off the field, and it's not necessarily even his fault a lot of times, from injuries to you know, academic situations that were unfortunate.
Jeff, I got to catch up with Spencer Burford over the weekend. He did a thing at the Spurs game. What did it mean to you just to see him, you know, be in the Super Bowl and be celebrated for a key block that led to a touchdown?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, if you'll think back, we ran almost the exact same play, and we scored a touchdown, and Spencer fell, and he blocked below the waist, but he didn't mean to. And that's when the rule had just been changed, and a touchdown got called back. So we laughed and had fun with him, let him know at least he didn't fall in the Super Bowl. He just did it in the Alamo Dome, you know. So it was funny because April had asked me how much he had been playing, and I said, you know, he'd been rotating, but lately his reps had kind of gone down. So she said she was going to put all this money into the football program for each snap he played. And when the guard got hurt, I texted April. I said, "You might not renegotiate right now because he's fixing to play a ton."
Yeah.
So I appreciate April and Spencer getting to play so much in the Super Bowl because we got a nice check to the Gilmer UTSA football program.
Has he turned up around here lately? Is he in touch with any of the guys that you know of?
Oh yeah, he's always in touch, but I haven't seen him since. I saw him right there during his open week at the end. He came up here and hung out with us for a day, but he hasn't been back since the Super Bowl. But we're excited to see him when he comes back.
He said he's in town for a while, so I'm sure he'll be here.
I hope so. I'm sure he'll have his cowboy boots on, be Spencer in his big old truck. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Jeff.